would you want to eat in a restaurant with a heavy fork and nothing fresh on the menu?
Okay. Right away, chef.
Is it because you're in space?
The great restaurant in space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know that much about space or restaurants.
Clearly.
But if there was one, then the heavy fork would stop it floating away.
Doesn't really work that with gravity.
No.
Either there is gravity or there isn't.
Yeah.
If the people are floating away, the fork's not going to be staying. Your sprouts are going to be all over while you can't lift your fork.
No sprouts. This is just like the toothpaste that astronauts have.
So what do you need the fork for?
To open the toothpaste.
It's like somebody direct from NASA. Mark, what do you reckon?
I think the space thing sounded quite plausible.
You like that,
actually.
do you think?
Yeah, because in space you can't have anything fresh.
OK.
They grow things in space,
It's
don't
nothing
they?
to do with space! Philip, help me out.
I'd love to help you out.
Go on.
So are we talking about, like, game?
Is it a fork or
Yes,
is
it
it another...
isn't- it isn't
not a
eating
fork
with-
in the road?
Is it to do with space? I've had some very difficult TV appearances, but my classes normally do stay on.
She starts throwing the hat around, you know you're in trouble, Mark Watson.
OK, none of this is working. There is a computer scientist, his name is Dan Jarafsky, and he looked at the description of dishes on 6,500 menus. And the higher-end restaurants, they tend not to describe food as fresh. They don't describe it as tasty, they don't describe it as ripe, because the customers in the high-end restaurants expect it to be those things. In fact, in posh restaurants, they tend to use kind of sexy terminology. So if food is sort of sensuous or silky, they use language like that.
Nude.
Nude, yes. Careful, nude aubergine.
We got a topless chicken and we put it under the grill. Ooh, it's a bit naughty.
This sandwich will wank you off.
That's too sexy.
We've all thought it. We've all thought it.
What's wrong with... No! OK, moving on. In posh restaurants, they use a completely different language. And here is the bizarre thing. People enjoy their food more with heavy cutlery. So there's a guy called Charles Michel, and he is the chef in residence at Oxford University's Cross-Modal Research Laboratory. So what they are researching is how our different senses modulate any appreciation of flavour. And so he gave everybody exactly the same meal. And people who used heavy cutlery were willing to pay 15% more for their food. It is one of the most bizarre things.
Yeah. Was there any point when the fork became too heavy? Because I reckon there is that is a scale that actually, by the time you've got like a garden fork, people are then refusing to pay again.
What you might have done now inadvertently is inspired cheap restaurants to glue their forks to the table to give the illusion.
Or glue two forks together, thereby doubling the weight.
Yeah.
One of the ways that restaurants trick you into spending a bit more money, did anybody know?
Hypnotism.
What?
Hypnotism.
Hypnotism.
Would you like the veal?
I mean, I'd certainly order it after
Absolutely,
that.
No, one of the things they do is they remove the pound sign from menus.
Oh, yeah.
So they did a study at Cornell University, and if it just has the numbers, somehow we don't associate that with the true cost of something.
Yeah,
You think it might just be 2.4 ants or something?
Our brain kind of doesn't turn that into dollars or pounds. If you put $20, then you suddenly think about the price, but if you just have the number, subconsciously, we don't think about the cost
How
of
would
things.
you use a Monopoly set to escape from a prison camp?
I could see how you might use a buckaroo.
Just fly out over the fence.
I mean, you'd probably just keep ending up on the barbed wire like that. Again, try it with the bucket.
Is it the covering up the hole with it?
Well...
Like in Shawshank?
No, there was a man whose nickname was Clutty Hutton, who in Britain bought up lots of Monopoly boards and turned them into escape kits that he then set up through MI9 with these pretend charities.
So that you'd get a get-out-of-jail-free card. That's a very good idea.
It was. No, what was brilliant was
the secret
that hidden in the Monopoly board were incredibly useful things.
A file.
Like a small dog, tiny hat, and a little ship.
There would be real money interspersed with the Monopoly money. There would be maps on silk, because they obviously tried it on paper. It's too bulky and rustly, but on silk, on parachute silk, you get an enormous amount of detail and tiny. That's an example of his earlier work, putting a compass in a military tunic button. The Germans got wise to this. They'd unscrew them, eat the buttons, and they'd see it. So then they reversed the thread. So when the Germans unscrewed it, they in fact tightened the button. Then they got wise to that. So then he used razor blades, which were magnetised at one end, so that when they were attached to something metal, they would spin round with the G of Gillette would point north, which was very good. So they were well disguised.
They said, now look, we put the normal thread on.
Yeah.
Old Kraut, he's unscrewing it.
Yeah.
Then what we've done is we've put it the other way. So when he's unscrewing it,
Yeah.
he's actually tightening it.
That's right.
Now we've got a step further. We've done one here. You can't get the top off.
Isn't there a flaw in that, sir?
Don't complicate it. Don't complicate it, Perkins. No one's going to see this bloody compass, that's for sure. Give it a try. You won't get it off.
Oh, very good, sir.
In many ways, it's become what I call a button.
If I was the German camp commandant, I'd have made them all wear duffel coats.
If it was me, if I was in charge, I would have started shipping out giant Jengas.
Would you?
Well, then you just build them up. You know the Jengas you get in pub gardens?
Yes.
Just massive one, just hop over the fence.
Brilliant. If only you'd been in charge then.
Or snakes and ladders, but with actual ladders.
Yes.
And real snakes to scare the Germans.
Scare the Germans.
Good British snakes who didn't like the look of a German soldier and would go up to them and go...
What about if they gave them toy tanks, but really big ones? And then they could turn around and go, take this, Jerry.
And these blank £2 coins. Just try and draw the Queen's head as she is on the coin.
The Queen's head on the...
Yeah.
OK.
Is she wearing a crown? Is she, you know, just but an outline. We want...
Which way does she look? No one knows.
No, don't ask for help. Allan Davies, I'm going to take points away if you cheat.
How do you think I got through school? How do you ask for help?
Is everyone done?
Yeah.
Yes.
OK.
She looks like Lenny Henry
Quicker.
on mine, unfortunately.
Well, that's all right.
OK, done.
OK, when Alan's done... OK, all of you all hold them up.
Mine
There we
looks
are,
like a
there we are.
triceratops.
And let's have a look at yours. There. And you're extraordinary. The point is, you've all, especially Bill somehow, you've all made the fundamental error that everybody makes in thinking she faces left. She faces right. You've done that.
You said left.
Yeah, because most people think
Sorry, it's too late now.
88% of people think the Queen faces left on her coins.
88%.
On every coin that ever was stamped since she was Queen, it's always faced the right.
Never
Always.
ask for help.
Do they take it in turns? So
Yes,
did
they
her
take-
father
they
face the other
alternate.
way?
Yes.
And Prince Charles?
Yes,
Should he be
Straight
spared?
on.
We'll
He's
take
full
the-
on with the ears like
they
that.
alternate. They've alternated since Charles II.
But does she not face the other way on the paper money?
No, on the stamp.
On the
And
stamp.
that's,
right.
that's it's one theory. One theory as to why 88% of people seem to think she faces left is because she does on the definitive edition of the stamps, which we can see here. We're all familiar with that image. But on the other hand, that's true in Denmark. Queen Margrethe, they also think she faces left, but on the stamp she looks out. And on the coin, she looks to the right.
Wow.
But if you ask a Dane which way she faces on their coins, they will say, as most of us would, left. It's something to do probably with right-handedness. We just picture a profile that way. It's really strange, but because we handle these things every day, unless you're Giles when you have someone to do it for you. But it's bizarre that we just don't notice, isn't it?
So that's all coins?
All coins with the Queen's head on.
And how long has
since
that been?
the beginning,
Ever since the beginning of
came
time?
to the throne. No, it alternates between monarchs. So her father faced left.
Oh, I see.
And his father, George V, not counting because the abdication was a wrinkle, but George VI.
So if you could get all the coins of all the monarchs together, or alternating monarchs, and just you could flick through them, they'd be doing...
It would. It would be like...
What's the best way to find out if one of your guests is drunk without...
Wait, hold on. How have you got this?
We were in the cupboard.
What the hell?
What the heck, fire?
I have no memory of this.
So what's the best way to find out if someone's drunk without using a breathalyzer?
Oh,
No breathalyzer allowed.
Well, I would make a pass at them, and if they go with it, they're drunk.
That works.
Yeah, that's my test. That's lean in for the kiss.
But let's suppose you're a policeman. Would that still be your method?
Sure, take down the particulars.
Sobriety test is normally walking in a straight line, isn't it?
That's right, especially in America, where states I've been stopped and, you know, they make you do that.
Well, people always act... People that are acting really normal, hyper-normal, I think they're loaded.
Yes, because drunk people announce slightly too perfectly.
And talk a
to
little
show
too
that they're
loud.
not slurring.
Yes. When people are acting normal, they are drunk out of their minds.
The British police used to have, and American in some states, had phrases they asked you to repeat, tongue twisters. The Leith police dismisseth us is quite a well-known one. Can you say that?
Dismisses us.
Can you say that?
Leith police dismisses us.
The Leith police dismisses us.
No, the Leith police dismisseth us.
The Leith police dismisseth us. I haven't had a drink. I'd be in
You'd be in trouble.
Dismisses us.
Yeah. You see, that's cheating. You can't do it, Yoda. On a lazy laser razor lies a laser ray eraser. That's not too difficult. On a lazy laser razor lies a lazy ray eraser.
Well, why would you say that in any... There's no context where you...
There isn't really, is there?
A wicked cricket critic, that's one
A
of the
wicked critic. A wicked cricket critic.
Yes.
Yeah, a wicked cricket critic.
A wicked cricket critic.
Yep. Imagine an imaginary menagerie manager managing an imaginary menagerie.
Where was that?
Researchers at MIT, I don't know why they say this is the most difficult, but maybe for drunk people it is. Pad, kid, poured curd, pulled cod. Doesn't seem that difficult.
Pad, kid, poured curd, pulled cod. That doesn't seem that difficult.
The one I've always thought the most difficult is you imagine a mother watching her son who's re-metalling the bottom of a pan. She says, "Are you copper-bottoming 'em, my man?" "No, I'm aluminiuming 'em, mum."
Aluminium.
Are you copper-bottoming
my man? No, I'm aluminiuming.
Very good. Are you copper-bottoming 'em, my man? No, I'm aluminiuming 'em, mum.
OK, I'll do the beat.
Alan, do it.
I can't do it.
Who makes up this stuff?
Elocution teachers. But you would say aluminium, mum.
Aluminum.
I wouldn't say any of it.
You're right.
You would maybe
Unless
just
I
go,
was
officer,
drunk.
I am drunk.
Yeah.
By the time you got to this one, you just go, you know what, I'll pay the fine.
It's the oldest trick in the book.
Is it an ancient Greek book?
It's even older.
Ooh. Egyptian?
Egyptian is the right answer.
I think I might have.
You might know
Is
this?
it about a man called Dedi?
Dedi? How do you know about Dedi? You're right.
He was a man who did the first magic trick, which was, I think, a decapitation of a goose.
You're right.
And tore it off and did it to impress the king. And it's in an ancient scroll.
It
which
is?
I do know the name of. I think I do.
Yeah, go on.
The West Carr Papyrus.
The West Carr Papyrus. This man is brilliant.
I should say, you know, I have had... Yes, they do. There is a certain amount
They teach this in ancient wizardry at Hogwarts.
Yes, they do. Absolutely, yes. I don't want you to...
This is going to be a very short show.
Next question. Come on. I'm not about the jokes. It's all about points for me.
It's all about points.
I like this.
What part of pulling a goose's head off is a trick?
Well, no, sorry, yes, and then restored it.
That's the point.
And he was doing, sorry, yes, that's the trick.
point. It's a
the old 2 geese in my bag trick.
He did a goose, as you rightly say, then he did a duck, and then he moved on to an ox, and he would wrench their heads off, and then they would be restored. But you may say, I want to see this trick. If this really exists, I want to see it. After 3, 2, 1, we go Accio Scott. We go 3, 2, 1.
Accio Scott.
Whoa! Oh, my God! I believe you can do the Dedi trick that Dan told us about.
Yes,
would you like to do it, please, with
Well, we'll give it a go with Norman. We just give him a little bit of a... just pop his head back on. Oh. There he goes.
Brilliant. Fabulous. The sensational Scott Penrose, ladies and gentlemen. What was Darwin's problem with brown owl? And why did he not describe it?
Probably ate it or something.
Ah! So he ate brown owls, you're saying?
Well, actually, he didn't, because he described it as indescribable, which is why he didn't describe the brown owl. Well, actually, as food, he meant, because Charles Darwin, one of the greatest scientists, one of the greatest men, really, of any age, was considered a very dim pupil and couldn't spell and was terrible at arithmetic and went to Cambridge. The only subject his father thought was fit for him was divinity. And he spent his time chasing rats and shooting and looking at animals and eating strange animals. He was a member of the Gourmet Society, or the Gluttons, as it was known at Cambridge, and their aim in life was to eat as many rare and peculiar animals, like bitterns and hawks. But brown owl, they didn't like at all. And all the others became bishops and archdeacons.
Does this still exist, this club?
Exists? Stephen's the president of it.
Yeah, otherwise you write me around for fox on creme.
I drink panda. That's the... Oh, it's lovely.
I've got a book at home. It's equivalent to the Collins Book of Birds from 1850. And after describing each bird, at the end it will say, for instance, a buzzard tastes a little bit milder than a golden eagle. Yes. But still quite palatable.
Does it have a wine recommendation at the bottom? You suggest a Chablis or a New World Merlot.
Now, let's look at some naked apes. What did the Neanderthal take with him when he went clubbing?
Are you meaning a club to club things with? Over the years, I thought I'd get better at this.
We've all been hoping, Alan.
Given that Alan got a klaxon for saying clubs, I'm guessing he didn't use clubs.
Very good.
Yes.
No, he or she did not
That's
use...
how to do it.
They lived above the tree line. They lived in a desert. There weren't any trees. Otherwise, you'd use a branch.
No, but they had spears and arrows, which had presumably got wooden shafts.
They couldn't get near enough to club anything. It was too dangerous.
For all we know, they didn't have clubs. I mean, the main thing about it is that we've never, ever seen anything shaped remotely like a club. No artefact anywhere.
I base all my knowledge of Neanderthal men from the wacky races. I base that.
The Flintstones, obviously, which is incredibly accurate. All those people living with the dinosaurs.
Running in the cars.
Yeah, exactly.
To be fair, we've got wacky racists, we've got Flintstones, and you've got Captain Caveman, so that's 3 separate bits of evidence that suggest they did have clubs. Unless they're all making it up.
Yeah. So they didn't take clubs, but they took cameras?
Yes. That's one of the earliest photographs.
That's incredible. They couldn't say cheese then, because they didn't have cheese.
Cheese?
For the photograph.
Oh, I see.
What they said.
Bison's quite good. Bison.
To be fair, you are just saying bison and then smiling. Bison.
Yeah.
You could say anything, couldn't you? Stick a rock.
But we've never, ever... There's never been a painting, there's never been an artefact. I mean, to be fair, most wooden artefacts will rot. So you get paintings of spears and you get spear heads that you find, but you don't actually get the wooden...
But you don't get the wooden pole, right? So they might have had clubs that have rotted away. I understand that you don't want to go too near an animal with a club, but if you're fighting neighbouring tribes...
Probably you would just pick up a stick.
But a stick is a club.
Well, it's not shaped like a club, that's the point.
When is a club a stick?
Yeah.
When you cover it in chocolate.
If you had to fight a duel, which weapon would you want your opponent to choose? A, hot air balloon, would that please you? B, a billiard ball? C, a sword? Or D, a sausage?
Sausages are fairly non-lethal.
You'd say
I
sausage?
would think you could get terrible food poisoning from the sausage.
Well, we do have history on our side, so we can tell a story about the sausage. There was a scientist, a very eminent scientist, who was rather liberal in his ways, who lived in Prussia, and who was the great leader of Prussia, who basically unified Germany and was what we would call Prime Minister, but he was the Minister-President of Prussia.
Bismarck.
Von Bismarck, exactly. And this German pathologist, who was called Rudolf Virchow, so opposed the mighty armaments programme that Bismarck had started that he enraged Bismarck, who challenged him to a duel. So because he got to choose, this doctor, who was the first man to isolate the pathogen behind pork that had gone off, which is called Trichinella spiralis, said, OK, the weapons will be sausages, one of which would be poisonous, toxic, as you say, with this agent, this pathogen. So he challenged him to a breakfast, essentially. And Bismarck didn't like the idea, so called the whole thing off, which the challenger has the right to do.
So it's a sausage roulette?
Yeah, basically. Sausage roulette.
Yeah,
but with only two. And so you had a 50-50 chance of dying, so that's a pretty dangerous duel. Wow. Sausage duel. So, moving from the sausage to the balloon, the Monsieur Grandpré and Monsieur de Pique. We're going to get quite French because you know what they're like. In 1808, there was a dispute between these two over the affections of a young woman. They took to the skies in separate hot air balloons, each armed with a blunderbuss. De Pique shot first and missed. He had the first shot and he missed.
There was a moment, isn't it?
Grandpré then fired at de Pique's balloon and punctured it, sending him and his second down to their deaths.
Wow.
2,000 feet above Paris. So balloon, pretty damn dangerous. There's only one example of a billiard ball duel that we've been able to discover. That took place between a Monsieur L'Enfant and a Monsieur Melfond. They fell out over a game of billiards, not surprisingly, and so they used what was to hand, billiard balls. Presumably it was carom if they were French. And they decided to resolve their difference by pelting each other, one after the other, with billiard balls. They drew straws to see who would throw first. And Melfond won, and he warned his opponent he would kill him with a one single strike, and he did. Straight between the eyes. Wow. Dead.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
And
he probably went, I was joking. I didn't think I'd actually hit you. Why did they use the cue? That would have been...
Yeah. So, of all the weapons we've described, probably the safest is the sword, because in duelling, all you have to do is get the draw first blood, as the phrase is. So you literally have to pink someone, just give them a little scratch, and it's called off by the seconds. Well, we got him. So, there we are, duelling.
These words on this board has 28 separate meanings. And I'm going to put those meanings up, and you tell me which word it is. Back passage, vagina, penis, jobby...
Jollocks.
Jobby, you think? Jigger. We're getting a lot of jiggering from the audience. Ouija board.
It must be jigger.
Golf
I
club.
was jigger.
Jigger is the right answer. I'm going to share 5 points with Victoria and 5 points with the audience. The word jigger has all those definitions. It's a measuring device, a jigger of rum. Yes. A snooker rest, an odd-looking person, Bill. Sorry, I'm just an odd-looking person. A distillery.
Look, don't say vagina and then point to me.
Penis.
Again.
And woman's coat. That's a nice thingamy.
You see,
Door, pulley.
people do complain that there aren't any good words for vagina. There's no way of saying it that sounds nice. Jigger is not the answer.
I think Twinkle Cave.
Twinkle Cave.
It's a less offensive term for a foo-foo.
So jigger is back passage, vagina, penis...
Well, that's confusing
right there. Straight away.
Just stick it in the jigger. What?
Yeah.
We're going to have to be more
talking
specific,
about
love.
jigger 1 or jigger 2?
It's also a golf club, so if you ask your caddy, do you think I should pull my jigger out for this shot? What do you think?
Yeah, get your jigger out, rest it on your jigger, stick it in my jigger, mind the jigger.
What about Ouija board? You're at a party and let's all put our fingers together on your jigger. It's moving. Is it doing that by itself, or are we making
Potter's wheel. That was what they used to put on the TV when they ran out of programmes.
Yeah.
Just put the jigger on. Not that one!
Anyway.
A revolving jig. No.
Certain words do double duty, certain words do triple duty, words like jigger. What's the best way to date a cod?
Oh. Where did you find a slutty fishmonger?
There are plenty.
All these whores of the sea can be yours.
You do them up like that, they fly out the shop. Given the choice of 2 cod,
which one?
I'll have Lady Penelope there. It must have something to do with eyes or ears. That's our theme.
You're smart.
They have no ears, so...
The size of them.
Holmes? Ears is... Right, they have an ear bone.
They have an ear bone?
They have an ear bone. But what's interesting is that you can age a cod to within a day using this method, so it's even better than trees, which, as we know, is a year. The otolith is a bone that we all have. Helps us give us a sense of which way our head is.
All of us cod.
No, all of us living things. In fish, including cod, it gets this calcium carbonate build-up. And if you, unfortunately, you have to kill the cod first, and then you bake its otolith, and then under a microscope, you can tell its age to within a day.
What, and then you go, oh, it's his birthday, I'll get him a present.
Oh, cod used to be so plentiful. Alexandre Dumas, who wrote an encyclopedia of gastronomy, said you could walk from France to America on cod. They were so you could see them when you sailed.
Well, that ended in disaster.
Yes, it did.
The deaths of many young people.
Yes.
Essentially, the cod wouldn't cooperate.
Yeah.
You know, it was theoretically possible, but the organisational challenge was too great. And they're slippy, even if they will lie nicely on the surface.
It's true. It's not going to happen.
Back to boats, you know.
No, but it'd be brilliant, though. It'd be like, you could just, like, run and then slide on them for a bit and then get up and run. It'd be the best journey to America ever.
Like wheelie trainers.
Oh, yes.